Hello, everybody. This is 19 to the Dozen, episode number 9. Today with us, it's Neil Brookes, the owner of London Underground Pub in Naronitrida in wonderful Prague, right in the middle of the city central. We just got off and opened a nice kozel, which we brought with us because obviously due to the pandemic, he is still closed. He cannot yet serve alcohol, but as far as I've seen in the press, they are slowly opening things out. They are opening the gardens. The Nick Cave concert on the 26th of June is not yet been cancelled.
Okay, still alive. That's amazing.
So thank you first of all for being here and for accepting to sit down with us. I wish you all the luck so you can open as fast as you can. How has it been, Neil?
Oh, yeah. How's it been? It's been pretty desperate, really, hasn't it? It's been very, very depressing, this whole kind of last 12, 14 months, I think. Up and down, opening, not opening, then, the restriction on the opening hours and everything else. It's been, obviously, we're not the only business suffering from it, but it's not something I would like to go through for much longer, quite frankly. Really.
I totally understand and agree, and it was hard, I think, even for me to be between four walls and just be able to sometimes take walks until 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
It was at points, it was indeed madness. One thing that I would like to ask is it's something that I also talked about with Craig, the American barber in Prague. How has your setup as a legal business, like normal business in the Czech Republic? So how was what did the Czech government do for businesses like yours and for yours?
Well, if I was to answer honestly, I'd say they've completely shafted us because we shouldn't be locked down at all. My opinion is it's a complete hoax, the whole thing. So they haven't done anything for us. They've destroyed our business willingly and intentionally, as far as I see it. Other people say that's not true. Fine, believe what you want to believe. But I looked into it and I think this is an absolute, it's a huge crime against humanity, especially against, business owners in this line of work, let's say in the hospitality, but also obviously other small businesses as well. It's just an attack on anybody who's self-sufficient, really. And as far as like the COVID support goes, we've got some rent and we put our salaries back into the business. They pay us the salaries. And we have some COVID support from last, I think, 3 or 4 months ago, which was extra, which they're giving us. But it doesn't touch the amount of money we've lost. Mm-hmm. All right, we're still here, theoretically, but it doesn't start to even scratch the surface of the turnover that we've lost and the lifestyle that people have lost because of all this COVID.
Being right in Naronitrida, this is wherever you go out in Prague, you will need Naronitrida somehow to go home with the night tram.
Exactly.
So being in this kind of very like central and top location, how busy was it before the craziness?
We just did our record weekend, the weekend before they closed us. No shit, we'd done record numbers on Friday and Saturday night, and it was only the beginning of March. So we were flying. We got everything right after 18 months, and we were ready to go.
Right, because you were just starting basically. You had 18 months before. Before, since you bought the place.
Exactly.
You
and we got
own the
everything
place,
right,
whatever,
and we've been working to get everything right, and then it clicked. Just after Christmas, we got everything right. Sport going on. We had a lot of tourists here, and we got live music here. Everything was working. The staff were good. We trained the staff properly. Everything was happening, And we had we did record numbers the week before we closed, and then the week after that they shut us down. Well, they shut everybody down. It wasn't just us. They shut everybody down. I mean, the amount of money and livelihood, the amount of people that have been affected by this, you can't comprehend it really. I don't think people actually stop and think about it. Some of the clubs and bars that I've worked in before have invested millions of euros and they've just been wiped out. Literally. I can't imagine them coming back without tourism and with all this supposed vaccine passports and all this bullshit, which is totally unlawful anyway. But, with all this stuff that they're trying to push on to get people to, to do this thing to open or to get tourism back, I just can't see how any business is going to reach a point where it's profitable again like it was prior to this.
How long do you think it will take? Because eventually things will people look, everybody around has this itch to travel. So as they will open up, things will pick up, but of course it won't be overnight. So my question is, how long do you think it will take for you to have another March 2000?
I can't see that realistically. I can't see it. I just can't see it coming back. I don't think it'll come back unless something really drastic happens. Unless there's some kind of the political movement is the political direction is changed by the people's will, and I think that's the only way it'll work. I can't see us going back to those times. I just don't think it'll happen unless something drastic happens. As far as
I believe the borders will open for tourism starting the 1st of June. Stan? Should. Now I don't know in which conditions.
Exactly. That's what worries me. I don't know either,
Travelers. So anyway, things will be better than today, obviously.
Obviously. But things have to be very good, because take away the trouble that businesses like we have and all the other businesses which have been affected by this. The likes of the supermarkets and the big chains and the Amazons and everything else, they're okay. They've been flying because people are stuck at home and they're buying online and everything. So they're okay. But other businesses which rely on...
Bezos still getting rich.
He's still getting richer, So is Babish, so is my own government people, But we're not. And to get back to that level, I don't know what we're going to do. Because if they open us up, I've heard we've got talk of testings, or you can't go if you're not vaxxed, or you have to have this, that, and the other. I mean, in reality, a lot of it's propaganda. It doesn't actually happen. I've sat in bars this weekend without tests or anything else. And I won't do that to go and sit in a bar. Fuck it, I'm not going to do it. I haven't had a test yet, and I'm not going to start now. But if they make these things in place, if they put these things in place which are going to make it difficult for the bars, difficult for other businesses like hairdressers and barbers and small clothes shops and outlets like that, then we are not going to go back to flying like we were before. It's just not going to happen. I can't see it. I mean, I can't see it, personally. So I don't know how long it'll take. I can't see it. I can't put a number on it. And we don't have that long. Nobody has that long. We have leases on the premises. Right. We're already two and a half years in.
The owner of the place did not give you a rent discount due to the pandemic.
No, the owner of the place has been very good with this. He's been great, because what else can you rent this place for if it's not a bar? It's, all right, a porn studio maybe, but
no, but it's totally true.
What is it? It's not a restaurant. It's underground with no windows. It's not a closed shop. Although I suppose you could make it one, but again, you've nowhere to display anything. So it is by its very nature, it leans itself to the nightlife to a bar, and that's what it is. So the owner of the building's been very good with us. So he has given us discounts. So I'm not complaining about that. It's a great thing. We've needed it.
I think the first story like this that I've heard, it's super.
No, because a lot of people haven't. No. A lot of people have been hard-assed, especially some of the Czech owners. They just think, well, it's not their fault, so I'm not doing anything about it. But they're very short-sighted, really, because you're going to lose your long-term
Walking
tenants.
around downtown, na Pshikope and Václavák, there's a lot of places that closed, just disappeared.
Absolutely.
And I think the most, I don't know if you know, Stan, because you don't necessarily live in the center, ha ha ha. But there was an IKEA shop. It was open maybe for 2 months. That's it. There was on Václavák, there was an IKEA shop.
Oh yeah, they opened the new IKEA.
Just
It's not there
That's not
anymore.
there,
It is not there anymore.
And
Well
if I-
done, IKEA.
And if anybody can survive, you'd have thought it'd been those guys, right? I mean, I'm sure the superstars are there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I did a video last year after a couple of months of this thing. I walked down, from the old town square into those little back streets where you go through to Charles Bridge and everything. And the amount of closed businesses and empty shops everywhere is outrageous. I mean, it's depressing because those shops supplied people with livelihoods. And now they don't. So where do those people go? Either they've gone to work for Bezos or somebody like that, or Babish, and they have no income anymore, and their lives have been taken away. So it's like, it's very depressing, really, when you think about it, and it makes me very angry to think that a lot of people are benefiting from this thing, and they're doing that off the back of other people's misery and destitution, which I think is deplorable. It's disgusting, but you know.
You told us off camera. Where are you from originally?
East Yorkshire, a little place called Beverley, very close to Hull and York and Leeds in East Yorkshire. So
how were things when we were growing up? Were totally different than.
Very different, I think, because I'm a lot older than you probably. So
Not really a lot.
well, enough, but very different. Although you can see how life's come down this road from those times, like 40 years ago when I was like a kid, how things were different then. And I think it was a lot better. But obviously we're steered in directions by commerce and everything else, and corporate wealth has steered humanity in a certain direction, which has led us to this point now, I think, with the COVID and everything. So I read a book about this only last year, called Moneyland. It's a very good book about corruption and politics and how
Moneyland. Shout out to Moneyland.
Moneyland, go and buy it. It's a very good book. It came out in 2019, I think, and it predicted exactly, in the end of the book, the conclusion was it predicted exactly where we're at now, that corporations and politics would become so intertwined that democracy would be under great threat. And here we are in a totalitarian state at the moment.
It just what you're telling me, no offense, but what you're telling me sounds like a punk song from that time.
Yeah,
Which kind of, are we living in a punk song?
maybe. We're living in a George Orwell's novel, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah. When did you start playing the guitar? Is it like,
Well, when I went to government training camp, school, and I obviously had an interest in music. So, and I loved, one of my first bands that I fell in love with was AC/DC. Well, the Sex Pistols, actually. But, yeah, so I developed a love of music, and my friends were one was a drummer and another guy was a very good guitar player, and we kind of got a band going when I was at school. So I would be about 12 or 14, I can't remember.
Wow.
And then we got a band going straight away and did it. We organised a gig when I was 14,
Wow.
with a load of school bands. And we organised it all ourselves, and our parents helped out. It was just great. So I've always been into music. I started playing guitar seriously when I was about 14. And
What were you guys playing? Punkish?
yeah, it was
Pink-
it was like rock stuff, really, rock, punk, stuff like that. Like I say, I was a big fan of like the Pistols and Pill and Stiff Little
Pill
Fingers.
is
when I was
still
a
going
kid.
on, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
And then I kind of because the one girlfriend I had when I was a kid, she used to listen to AC/DC all the time, so I started getting into AC/DC and of course Angus is a great guitar player. When I was a kid, he was a very big influence of mine. So yeah, I got into music from there really, and then I had a job for a while after government training camp because we're all trained to go and get a job and bits of paper and everything. So I had a job for a while. I was quite a good engineer actually, and I still am. And then
my dad is an engineer.
Yeah.
My mom as well.
yeah, okay. So I do that, and I like that. I like messing about with old cars and motorbikes and things. And then I got into music properly, and so I gave up work because I realised I wanted to just do music for a living. And ever since then, I've been broke.
Good one.
That's what happens when you do music for a living.
But at least you had fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't
Well,
tell me that
you do something
looking
you
back,
love.
you would have sticked with the job. Please don't say that. That would be kind of...
No, I'm
bummer.
joking.
That
I'm
would be a
joking.
bummer.
I've had good times and bad times. Good times and bad times, you know. It's like the movies. Good times and bad times. Good times, bad times, good times. So, yeah, and here we are.
And why don't you follow football?
Just, I was always shit at football when I was at school. I was a kid that went to kick the ball and fell over. You know, I was a kid that I was actually not bad in goal. You know, because I didn't have to use my feet that much, so I was all right in goal, but I was just terrible at football, really. We had two teams when I was a kid, and we were always the team that got sent off to the other field somewhere, and just nobody bothered what we were doing. Yeah, just go and play in the other pitch, and we'll come and see you in like an hour. And we were just the useless guys that couldn't play football. You know? And I was in that crowd.
Okay.
That was government training camps, of course, because they do so much for your self-esteem, don't they, government training camps? Schools, they do so much for your self-esteem, you know. Yeah, you just go with those guys and play up there somewhere. You know, we'll come and see you in an hour.
It's the third time he's calling schools government training camps. Why is that, Neil?
Because that's what they are. They train us to follow a certain path in life and behave in a certain way and accept authority, and that's why we're fucked at the moment. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in school. I hated school, and now I realised when I left school, one of the reasons I hated school was because they don't give you anything. They give you the ability you need to function in the world that they want, that the governments and the state and the corporations want you to function in. And that's all they give you. Like school, one of the biggest things for school for me is, why do they take something that you're really bad at and try and make you better at it? Right, you stay back for extra maths class because you're shit at maths. Why don't you just say, look, this guy's shit at maths. Give him what he needs.
Because you need to...
Give him what he needs, but then what's he good at? Oh, he's good at English. Well, let's make him a writer. They don't do that. They go, he's really bad at maths, really bad. Oh, you extra physics for you, extra maths for you. And then, what does that do? You waste all your time doing something you can't really do because it's not in your sort of ability. You know, we all have talent in different fields, you know. We're all good at some things and other people are good at other things. But what I hate about school is they take what you're really bad at and try and make you better at it. Instead of concentrating on what you're good at and making you brilliant in that, they don't. They go, well, he's all right at that, so we don't need to worry about that.
So my question would be, what would you tell today to a kid that is probably watching us? Please subscribe to 19 to the dozen. But who's struggling, for example, with math? He needs to go through school or whatever.
Look, I'm not saying...
What is it?
I'm not saying don't...
do what you...
I'm not saying don't give a little extra time to something if you can improve in that. But don't let it get you down. Don't let people tell you you've got to be badgered into doing it. Okay, you're crap at it. If you're crap at it, you're never going to be great at it. So, you know, that's just the way it is. Take what you're good at, what you're interested in, and be great at that. Because that's what's going to get you through life at a higher level and give you some success, you know, and fulfillment.
So is actually, if I may ask, is actually bartending or guitar playing what you're great at?
Bartending is something I do if I need to do it.
No, I mean like owning a bar, being...
The reason I own the bar is because I realised I can't do music forever. But
why can you not do music forever if you have the talent and you've done it since 14?
Yeah, I mean you can, but there's a point where if you're not famous, that you're not cool anymore.
It wears you down, huh?
No, it's not that. It's just people don't want to watch a 70-year-old guy playing guitar or something. I'm not 70 years old, but you know, they don't. Unless it's the Rolling Stones or something. And they'll do that. And quite honest, when I watch the Rolling Stones, I kind of, I don't want to watch that either.
Today, while I was scrolling, I don't know what, on the internet, I didn't click on it, but the corner of my eye caught something that the Rolling Stones guy has a 7-year-old kid, 6-year-old kid, something like this. Like super young kid, under 10 years old kid.
Which Rolling Stone guy is it?
The guy, the vocals.
Well, it makes a change.
Mick
He's not,
Jagger, right?
It makes a change. He's just had a kid and he's not shagging one of them because that's what I usually do, especially Bill Warman. But no, I just didn't want to be that kind of old guy, still play music. And I also realised that I need something which would bring me a living without having to... you know, if you want to make good money, you have to have a product. You can't just sell your time. Or you can if you're like a superstar lawyer or something, or a very rich person in the entertainment business or something like that. But really, you need a product to generate income, which is not time related. So something you do, you know. And the bar would help us do that in normal circumstances. That was the plan with the pub. Plus, I've been doing music for so long. I've played in so many different types of venues. Christ almighty, I've even done, you know, casinos, hotels, cruise ships, bars. Fucking, I even played a nudist fucking camp once. I wasn't naked at the time, just, you know, other people were, but I was not. So I just seen things done very...
biased.
But I've seen things done well and things done badly, and the bars that run well and bars that run badly. So I just thought, right, I know what I'm doing with the music scene, and I know what to do for entertainment, and I know what we need. And Prague's a great place for tourism.
Your location is awesome.
And it's a great spot for tourism. Prague was a great tourist destination. So it's one of these places which is all year round, you know. Whereas when I worked in Spain, which I did for 5 years, Spain was a very seasonal place, you know. And in the wintertime, I found it so depressing. But Prague's not like that. You don't really have any. Maybe January is quiet, but after that, now it's uphill again. You know, we're flying, and that's why I came here.
January Russians are in town because they celebrate the late Christmas, the calendar, right? So January is.
Yeah, so Prague's a place to be for this kind of war.
Which is a lot of Russian.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Good point. Really awesome. I mean, basically what you were telling me is like you've seen a lot of businesses, you've played in a lot of bands, so you've all that information.
I've learned from them,
and you're putting it into this place, man. That's very nice. That's good advice, actually. And that's, follow what you're good at, and then learn, and then do something which.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. I mean, I've had a great life doing music because I loved it. And my dad said to me when I quit my job when I was about 20 or whatever, he's like, what are you going to do? Because, of course, you know, my parents come from the indoctrination of the government training camps, of course. And it's always, well, what are you going to do? I can't survive. I said, I'll make money out of doing what I love, not something I don't want to do. You know, and that's what I did. Not many people do that. For the ones that do, you know, good luck to them.
When did you move to Prague?
I kind of floated around here from about 2011.
Okay.
And I had a few years here working for various different places. And then one of the places that I used to work at a lot kind of shut down. So they lost the lease on the business. So I was like, and the other places kind of wouldn't pay me what I wanted. So I had friends in Sweden at the time that I'd met in Prague, and I thought, well, I like to follow fate, if you like. I think, you know, fate often gives us a pathway, and whether we follow it or not, it depends up to us, you know. So I followed the pathway to Sweden. I went to Sweden for 18 months, it was about 20 months I was in Sweden. And then, you know, I met, you know, I had some nice friends in Sweden, I had some good times and played some good shows and made some money. And then kind of Sweden...
Beer is too expensive there.
You know, I used to work for one place there a lot, but then they started doing too much karaoke. And they kind of started focusing on the karaoke, and then the live music, they didn't play, you know, put the live music on so much. And it was a huge venue, like a big Irish bar with a bowling alley and all sorts of stuff going on in there. 4 or 5 different bars and a club inside. So it was a huge complex. But they started doing too much karaoke in it. And in the end, they stopped doing a lot of live music. So that kind of made my income start to drop. So I thought, right. And I miss Prague because I know Prague is the place where you can play all the time. So I came back here, and I had kind of had in my mind that I wanted to start something. But I didn't know how the hell I was going to do it. Because it was not now, but back then in 2017, when I came back at the end of 2017, it was very difficult to find a venue, an available venue. Yeah. And if you did find one,
it was already taken.
It was already taken, or the rent was crazy high, and you just couldn't find it. I mean, Prague was one of the biggest tourist centres tourist destinations in Europe. So it was very difficult to find a venue. But I came back, and I was still in touch with one of the old managers from one of the places I played, who's now my business partner. And his friends had this place, and they wanted out because it kind of died. They'd lost interest in it, and there wasn't many people coming, So he said, I've got this bar, but we just need some money to put in. So I tapped up another mate of mine in the UK who's now probably cursing my name for leading him into this hole of destitution. But how did we know the COVID was coming? We didn't. So
it's not funny. I'm sorry, but
it isn't funny. But you've got to see the funny side of it.
Yeah,
he's in a terrible state. Is my business partner in England, because he put a lot of money into it, and it's like he's just in the tunnel of hope, what I call the tunnel of hope at the moment, just hoping that this place is somehow going to come out the other end and it's going to be okay. And I hope it is, for my sake and his.
It's going to be fine.
Stay positive. Stay positive.
Yeah.
Stay positive. I'm still hoping I get COVID, then I don't need the vaccination. But I can't remember what we were talking about now.
We were talking
about... Oh, yeah,
about,
how we got the business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then my other contact that I knew, my other business partner, his friends were giving this place up and said, do you want to take it? So I came down, had a look at it. I said, well, we need some money. So I typed up a guy that I know in England, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we took it. I mean, we had a lot of messing about for the first few months, sorting everything out, but once we got it sorted out, we got the social media working, we got the sport on and everything with the British people and the Germans and everybody liked a bit of football. And the live music for people that want to party in the evenings. Yeah, it was working. We saw it.
And since you mentioned social media, where are you? I mean,
well, London Underground
whatever.
Bar Prague on Facebook.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of movement on it at the moment because we're not open. So,
We'll make it to be. Because please go there, follow their
check
Facebook page.
Check it out.
Instagram?
London Underground. We probably have got Instagram, but I don't do that side of it. I'm not very techie with that. So
let me tell you what our Icelandic friend did.
Okay.
He was basically just reposting what everything posted, tagging him.
Okay.
So all his Instagram feed is basically just customers
tagging.
But he's open. He sells bread and other really awesome things.
Okay.
But that's the idea. When you're gonna be open, you can just do this, and as you have like this, he's got this awesome like board with the top spenders in alcohol and so on. So you can make one with
that's
like,
our propaganda.
with like the Instagram, and you shout out to their whatever user, and it's just free social media.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll put that onto our social media guy.
So Facebook.
It's London Underground Bar Prague, I think. But you'll certainly find it on Facebook. If you put London Underground Prague, you'll certainly find it. Definitely.
Okay. So obviously, I was gonna ask about it because you're not the first Englishman that sit down with us. There was also Dr. Daniel Glazer, a neuroscientist, PhD. So I had to ask, what he voted for breakfast. For breakfast.
Breakfast, yeah.
Brexit for Brexit. So yeah.
So just tell me before I tell you. What I haven't seen the podcast, of course. What did he vote for?
I think he dodged the question.
Did he?
I don't really remember.
Like me.
I think he dodged the question because actually my question was a stupid question. I asked him what's the Russian influence on Brexit vote.
Okay.
And he...
Well, don't ask me that because I haven't got a clue.
No, I'm not. And he said something like, no matter the Russian influence, it's a British people problem.
Well, I wasn't in England at the time, and I don't really...
You're dodging it too.
No,
You're going to say you didn't vote.
I'm telling you that I didn't vote. Because I don't actually believe it made that much fucking difference, quite frankly. Which is why I didn't do it.
Okay.
I'm kind of happy that we've left.
Okay.
But I don't think...
I'm not. I'm sad.
The thing is, I have quite extreme views about all this kind of thing. I don't believe that a bunch of people have the right to make laws for me. I don't believe that. That is my fundamental belief, and especially since this coronavirus shit started, it's opened my eyes. I mean, I've never believed in government and control and authority so much because of my nature as a musician and also as a free person. But I absolutely, from what I've seen of the European Parliament and everything, And what I've seen on the world stage at the moment with the elections in the States and the fiasco around Trump and Biden and everything else, I don't want a bunch of people making laws for me. I don't want it. And I don't think you should want it either, or anybody should want that. It's not good for humanity to give a handful of people the power to make laws for the rest of us.
It is not the first time I hear this idea.
You'll hear it a lot more, I'm telling you,
I had
as the future goes on.
I had a Greek friend that used to live in Prague. He left before all this madness started to do his own thing as a Greek man in Greece, I guess. Shout out to Spiros Tolkash. He is also a musician, also a guitar player, and that is in those kind of beer conversations, he was explaining to me for the first time the system which he saw as which he explained it as anarchism.
Yeah, okay.
Right? At the state level. He was trying to convince me that this would work.
Yeah, okay.
So
I don't know.
Is this what you're talking about
you're
as
talking
well?
about you're talking about a lack of government generally, aren't you? Anarchy is not what people think it is. The original meaning of anarchy was not to turn over police cars and set fire to things and all this kind of stuff.
No.
It's simply a lack of belief in central government, I think. Which is.
If we
I'm not that educated about it,
Greek
but
speaker now, he would actually explain the root of the word, which is
yeah, exactly. That's where it comes from. It doesn't mean you literally smash up the town centre and pull down statues, like Black Lives Matter have been doing or whatever. Or Antifa or whatever they're called. But I have definitely in the last 12 months...
Because, look, sorry to interrupt. My question is, yes, it resonates inside myself as well, right? I don't want people making laws for me. But how do you then... How do we live?
I haven't thought... I've given it a bit of thought in the last few months, and I've done extensive research on the banking systems, corporate system since coronavirus started, because for the second time in 12 years, my business has been destroyed. And I started asking the questions, hang on a minute, what the fuck's going on? Why do we accept that the banking system will crash the whole economic system every 12 years, 10 years or whatever, which it's been doing for the last 40, 50 years. And nobody kind of goes, well, I think they shouldn't be doing that anymore and we need to stop it. We just go, okay, dust ourselves off, go and find another job or another way of life, another business, and we start again. Whoa, hang on a minute.
There's a lot of start again, pick yourself up, even in...
We're educated to be stupid.
Why do we fall? So
we're
we can
educated to be stupid. We're educated to be stupid. Why don't people wake up and go, no, this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable for the economy to be destroyed every 10 or 12 years just because the banks are Ponzi scheming with everybody's money, which is what they're doing. But I can't remember what you were talking about now.
We were talking about nobody should make laws.
Oh, yeah, anarchy. We're talking about anarchy.
Anarchy,
right? Central government. No, in the last 12 months, I've never believed in central government so much because they're all fucking liars as far as I'm concerned, politicians. Most of them are liars. And if they're not liars, they hide information from you, which is kind of the same thing. So... And I've certainly realised in the last 12 months that most of them are liars, and they are, what's going on at the moment is a massive conflict of interest between politics and corporate control and our lives.
We're just like cannon meat.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm going to tell you a few things that I know about the people connected to my government, if you like, Boris Johnson's little coronavirus task force, because we need a task force to stop the flu. So, but anyway,
we need a task force because there's a British variant.
Exactly, the Indian variant. But the Indian variant, the Indian government have just written a letter to the British government saying there isn't an Indian variant and we're going to sue you. So anyway, that's out of the window. But going back to central government, I'm not sure I believe in central government as a whole. I think everything could be regionalised, and I absolutely say you have to take. I watched Russell Brand talking about this actually. And I never liked him as a comedian, but now I think he's great. He does a lot of talking on YouTube and stuff like that, and he's very, very on my wavelength, or I'm on his wavelength. But, money has to be taken out of politics now, because the coronavirus crisis is about money, whether it's the banks or the corporations or the big pharma or the politicians. And, everybody used to say to me when this shit started, because I was one of the first conspiracy theorists, if you like, even though there's not much theory about it anymore. You can research it and find it if you really want to find out what's going on. You can find it. But I'll tell you about my government. Patrick Vallance, who is one of the advisors to Boris Johnson, until 2019 worked for GlaxoSmithKline. Right.
Pharma.
Yeah, GlaxoSmithKline. They have the biggest vaccine manufacturing plant in the world. It's in Belgium. And it knocks out millions of vaccines a day. And he was one of the directors of GlaxoSmithKline until 2019. So mysteriously he left the company just before coronavirus. Now he's advising the government on lockdowns to implement the vaccine. So then you've got Chris Whitty, who's another arsehole, and in 2003 he was working in Asia and Africa for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they received 31 million from Bill and Melinda Gates, and that's what's on Wikipedia. So I'm guessing he probably received a lot more than that. So, and now he's also Boris Johnson's right-hand man. And then Matt Hancock, under David Cameron, Tory leader, of course, 2014, his title, God, if I can stop myself laughing, was anti-corruption champion, right? Now, he went to court last year and they found that he'd acted unlawfully by dishing out contracts to his buddies. And in 2005, this clown was anti-corruption champion. That was his job title. And this fucker's just been found guilty, of acting unlawfully. And these people are all around my Prime Minister promoting vaccines and the COVIDs and everything. Plus the fact the British government have just spent £320 million on a publicity campaign which lasts a year for COVID-19. I don't know why you need a publicity campaign if something's killing everybody. I would say that you can see it. I don't know anybody who's died. I'm sure people have, and I'm sorry about that, but I don't know anybody. I can't tell you anybody that. My
dad
still
had
okay.
it.
He's had it, but is he still alive?
He is still alive.
Okay, that's okay.
He had 3 bad nights.
Okay.
He survived.
So my business is
He
closed because
thinks
your
he
dad had 3 bad
survived
nights.
because he's a smoker. There is even this thing out there.
Listen, if it works for you, do it, right?
Kids, don't start smoking.
But anyway, so going back to your question about Brexit, it didn't work for Brexit. I'm kind of glad we left, but I don't think it's going to make that much difference because my old government are just as bad as the fuckers in Brussels anyway. So I think the money needs taken out of politics. Simple as that. If you're a politician, you should work for the government, you get a salary, and as you move up the ladder, your salary increases. And if you get to be Prime Minister, you get more money. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to involve yourself in business, corporate business and finance, then get the fuck out of government. Because the Chancellor of my Exchequer in the UK is a billionaire. And he won't tell anybody where his money is, which means he's stashing it in an empty shell company offshore. So he's dictating to the British people how much tax they pay, because he doesn't pay any. I don't want some fucker like that running my country.
Fuck you, Andrej Babiš.
Well, Babiš is the Czech version, but I don't want somebody like that in government making laws for me and telling me how much tax I've got to pay. I don't want that. He's obviously learned to manipulate the system, it brings us back to the point of government training camps, actually schools. We as people, when we're educated, we're not educated. Normal people are not educated about money. We're not educated about how to start your own business, run your own business, how to start a corporation, how to basically evade taxation. We're not taught to do that all. Because it doesn't suit them. We are taught to get our bits of paper, follow the system. We have a careers officer when I was at school who didn't tell me to start my own business. He told me to go and work for somebody else and how I should do it. And this is why the education system to me is fatally flawed. Because until you put the power of wealth in individual people's hands, until you give them a reason and a purpose and understanding that they can empower themselves and go out and make their own money, then I don't think you're being educated. I don't think you've been educated at all. I think you've been brainwashed and mind-fucked. And that, unfortunately, is what the education system does for us at the moment.
I do agree that this is lacking. Somebody giving you the opportunity, how you just said it. Yeah.
I'm not against wealth, but I'm against corporate wealth. I think there's far too much of it now. I'm not against personal wealth to a point, but I think it's got out of hand. And the trouble with wealth is it's like
a
snowball.
Yeah.
The more you have, the bigger it gets. The more you have, the bigger it gets. The more you have, the bigger it gets. Then you just squash everybody else. And that's what's happened.
Yeah, and usually the speech is about how we increased the middle level, or, the middle earners throughout the world. But I don't think so. We are increasing poverty in many places,
Of
and,
course.
it's
Of
just
course
the
we are.
1%. It really is the 1%.
Of course it is. And it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller, and they'll get more and more wealthy, which is what they've done during the coronavirus crisis, you know. So I just think the whole system... I remember sitting in Sweden one night and having a conversation with a couple of kind of political people. There were young people that were getting into politics. And I said to them, you know, we have to cap personal and corporate wealth. It has to be capped. Because the supermarkets and the big chains put everybody else out of business over time. And that's what they've done, and they are doing it. And now this is the final straw in it that's going to break
Bezos
the
does
camel's
it.
back.
His wealth is built on killing mamas and papas stores.
Maybe. But I had a conversation with these two people, and I said, you know, that we needed to cap wealth, and it has to be redistributed, and it has to be stopped to this kind of just exponential growth that these companies have, you know, these people have. And they're like, well, you're talking about a revolution. And actually, we are, and here we are at the point in the humanity where that's exactly what we actually need. Whether people understand that or not, I don't care. That's what I believe. I believe we are at the point now in humanity. We're at a crossroads in humanity now. The veil has to be lifted, as it says in the Bible, the good book. It's time for the lifting of the veil. People have to wake up and realise that we do not shut down the planet for something which kills a tiny percentage of the population if they catch it. And, you know, I'm sorry if somebody's had it. I think I had it, actually, like last year, but who knows? There's no flu anymore, so there's got to be a reason for that, you know, and the testing and everything. I mean, I've been so much into this stuff, into every aspect of it. I don't believe the tests were ever supposed to be for COVIDs. And I just think they're milking it. And they're deliberately pushing a socialist agenda on humanity. That's why I think we're in a very dangerous situation now. Worldwide, we are in a very dangerous cooking pot. Because corporations... it's not now, politicians don't control corporations anymore. Corporations control politicians because the politicians are all bought into it. That's why when this shit started and everybody said, well, you know, all the countries, I mean, all the governments can't be in on it. Of course they are. You've only got to, if you look into any single politician, you will find connections to big business. Whether it's big pharma or big tech or Viacom or Disney or the media, we are not getting the news now. We are getting propaganda. That's all we are getting. We are not hearing the news. And I'm from another country and I look at what's going on in other countries. And when you look at the Czech news, it's not here. They're not giving us the news. So we are definitely being screwed over. Because when I was a kid, you could say at least you were getting a reasonable representation of real life news. Now you're not. Now it's all bullshit. I mean, it's so much bullshit. I can barely understand how people can actually take it in and believe it. Especially what went on in the US throughout the elections and everything. It was absolutely, you couldn't make it up. It was fucking ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. The stuff they were putting on TV and people were going, lapping it up. I don't get it. I mean, the most secure building in the world, well, should have been, Capitol Hill, and a load of people stormed it. And they knew they were going to storm it beforehand.
I was happy. It looked like Romania in the 90s.
It was ridiculous. and yet people go, for me, it was so staged. I mean, it's just so staged. Most of the things you see now is just propaganda. Everything you see and hear and read about COVIDs or whatever, or the political system or anything, it's just total nonsense.
How do you, because like you need a kind of guiding light or something, right?
Not really. Your guiding light should be your own brain.
Yeah. So,
but the trouble is,
that's the solution. It's like reading all sources and making up your mind.
But the trouble is, I read a book about psychology from John Hay, who's a psychologist. It's a very good book, actually. And I remember in the book he said they made a point. It was kind of accepted among psychiatrists and psychologists generally that human beings will take the easy route. In other words, if you offer to look after somebody and take care of something for them, they'll kind of accept it and go, yeah, okay, because it means they don't have to do it. Okay. And again, all this kind of attitude comes from the government training camps and how we're brought up on it. And what we see on television and everything, the TV is just a propaganda tool. It's just a programming system,
right.
you know.
Right.
And We are literally, I'm not like that, thank God, but I have been. And most people will let other people, let the politicians or let the government run their lives for them, or the bank or whatever, because it's easier than actually making a decision for yourself and making a choice and actually following it up and doing the work to make it work out for you, be successful or whatever. So I think that's why the state, let's call it the state, which in my mind, when I say the state, I think of corporate business and I think of politics, because I think that they are now so intertwined. They have become the state. Politics and big business have become the state now. You know, Babish is one of the richest. It's not a coincidence that Babish is one of the richest men in the Czech Republic, that Merkel is one of the richest people in Germany, that Macron is one of the richest people in France, that Trudeau is also a fucking seriously rich person in Canada. It's not a coincidence that these people are at the top of the tree, you know. So big business and state, I see big business and politics as the state now, personally, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the state because of my business has been ruined, as have millions of other people's businesses across the world, because of the state, a big pharma and the state and the governments. I don't put this down to COVID-19. I'm sorry, I don't. If I go outside tonight, I'm not in fear of my life.
What do you put this down on?
I put it down to corruption. And I read about it, like I said, in the book Moneyland. I read about it after this started, and the book was out in 2019, and then the conclusion of the book was it warned exactly of this situation that we're now in with COVID. That corporations become so powerful and so much infiltrated into politics that we were in danger of losing democracy. And we have lost democracy now. There is no democracy at this point in time. My own government are making laws to oppress its own people, and they are unchecked at the moment.
How should we check them?
Well, it has to be the only way we can. And it's civil unrest, we have to kick them out. We have to kick them out. They will not leave. Trillions of dollars have gone into this project worldwide. Trillions of dollars have gone into it. In the satellite systems, in the 5G and all the upgrades of the radio masts. And they're all over Europe, because I've driven across Europe 2 or 3 times in the last 12 months. And they're all over Europe, these things. So there's trillions of dollars gone into infrastructure now. And it is a new world order that they're planning. They have been planning it. And you can watch many videos of world leaders and popes and, you know, talking about it and mentioning it and saying this is what's happening, this is what we need. And that's where we're heading. We're in a very dangerous situation at the moment, because they'll try and take cash away from us as well in the next couple of years, the next 5 years. And if they do that and we accept it, it's the fiat money system's fucked. They've spent everybody's money. If they do that, we're in trouble, because without cash, you have no freedom.
How can they take cash away?
They'll just stop it. They'll nudge you all the time. What do you think you have a fucking app on your phone for to pay at Tesco's and everything? Why do you think they're doing that? They call it nudging in the corporate world. They're nudging you to accept things. Why do you think we have these electric motorcycles and scooters all over Prague that you can put your phone on? Because you will own nothing and you'll be happy. It's the World Economic Forum, the Davos Brigade. It's all over Prague. We have no tourism, yet these things are everywhere.
These things are for inner city mobility, they say. Yeah.
Bullshit.
Seriously?
Who's that?
It was a Czech startup, Revolt, which had these electric motorcycles today.
Okay.
They're pulling out.
They put them out. But this is what they're trying to do. I mean, I put a video out on my own Facebook page a few weeks ago, because these things are everywhere. And they call it nudging in the banking or the corporate set. They give you these things like cashless payments, phone apps that you can pay with, you know, QR codes and all this bullshit. And then in the end, they'll tell you that it's so popular that you don't need cash anymore, and they'll take cash away from you. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm definitely telling you they're going to digitalize money.
Well, isn't Bitcoin digitalized money somehow?
No, Bitcoin's crypto, that's different.
Yeah. I mean, it's on the blockchain. It's a new technology.
Yeah, but
will we move to
if you
that?
want to talk about crypto, we'll talk about crypto. But I'm not that.
No.
But
I'm
Bitcoin-
trying to imagine a cashless world, like my world.
Bitcoin is a surveillance coin. You can see it. So it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or digital. You can see it. The tax man can see it. Bitcoin's going to crash in the next few years, 2 years maybe. I was listening to a guy on Dollar Vigilante, I think he's great, and he's predicting Bitcoin will crash. And if it's visible, it will crash because you can tax it. And if you can tax it, they will tax it. But if you've got a privacy coin, like Monero or Pirate Chain or something, you're a lot safer because they can't track it. But they will try and remove cash because now we've got huge money printing going on, which means we're heading into a massive inflation, hyperinflation. So we're going to go into hyperinflation. We're going to have food shortages and everything. My prediction is I believe that right since the start of COVID, because if they don't pull off COVID and they don't get us into socialism with COVID and destroy the businesses, if COVID backfires on them, we only need 10% of the population to wake up and realise it's bullshit, and they're in trouble. So they'll try and digitize money because they printed so much money. They're going to crash the system. COVID is a financial crash. COVID is a smokescreen for this decade's financial crash. It was due in 2020. COVID came in 2020. We were due a financial crash in 2020. We had one in 2009, 2010. We had one in 2001, 2002. We had one at the beginning of the 90s. We had one in the 80s. This was the next one. It was here. But it's gone. It's disappeared. Where is it? I mean, I'm watching adverts from the banks about mortgages. They don't give a fuck. They should be going fucking ape shit right now. Millions of businesses are going under. Millions of people can't pay their mortgages. Why not? Why aren't they going crazy? Because they're going to get everybody's property. They're going to take everything. Who do you think is going to buy all the whole fucking hotels when the hotels can't survive anymore? The Chinese will come in, the Arabs, money people come in, buy them for half the price.
That is if they don't open. Do you think that they can still?
Doesn't matter if they open. Unless you go back to how it was before, which they're not going to do. It doesn't matter whether they open. They'll survive, but they won't make profit. And if they won't make profit, they'll sell. It's like my business. If we open next weekend, 50%, let's say 50% of the people are terrified of COVID now. So they're not going to come anyway, even if they had a fucking vaccine, because it doesn't work. Because they tell you if you had the vaccine, you still get COVID. And I was reading something the other day that most of the people in Lancashire in England, in the hospital with COVID, have had the fucking vaccine.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. It was publicity. It was one of the main newspapers. Just put that out. The hospital workers were saying most of the people have had the vaccine, they've come to the hospital with COVID. So it's not protecting them. If anything, it's fucking giving them it. So what's going to happen? 50% of the people are too scared to come to the bar because they think they might get COVID. If we've got a test, then people won't do it because they have to pay to get a test or something. I wouldn't back it up anyway, quite frankly. I don't believe in it. But if people have had the vaccine, maybe they'll go out. But we're never going to go back.
People are out anyway. I mean, Naplavka is full from time to time.
We're not going back to the halcyon days. Unless Ryanair starts landing planes every fucking half an hour. But if people have to test all the time to get on a plane, it costs them money. Now, Prague was a short stay destination. It wasn't a 2-week holiday. So if you add, I don't know how much it is to test to get on a plane, but if you had a test and then you've got to have a test to leave, Prague was a short stay place, 4 days, cheap, 4 days, 100 quid, 200 quid or whatever, so it's going to affect it. We're not going back to how it was before, not under the present situation. I can't see it. And Babiš has already said many times that he doesn't want the nightlife back in Prague. He doesn't want that anymore. He wants socialism. He's a communist. He's an ex-communist. He's a socialist. He wants socialism here. He wants everything to go back to state control, and people to go into this, like, what do they call this income thing that they're trying to put onto everybody? This
the universal
basic income or something.
Universal
what the
income.
fuck is that? I don't want a universal basic fucking income for the rest of my life.
I want it if the corporates are going to pay for it.
I don't want it. You don't.
The way I heard it is like from Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I know, but you have to. We talked about this when I spoke to you on Friday.
I don't remember. I was kind of.
People will accept an easy life, but the reality is, human beings, the human mind, needs a purpose.
Now I remember.
You can give people basic income, and they'll probably go, "Oh, that's great! I can sit at home, watch TV, play games, and smoke dope. Great, that's perfect." It is for a week. And after that week, you'll start going out of your fucking mind. People need a reason to live. And a reason to feel like they're progressing in their lives. That's what socialism doesn't give you. And it never has. It's always failed and it never will. Uncapped capitalism is the same. Uncapped capitalism has brought us here. Unchecked capitalism has brought us here, I believe. to this COVID fucking crisis. It has, because it's about money. It's always been about money. It's the failings of the banks, the theft of the money, and the corporations that producing vaccines and everything else and products which are going to make them more money. And we're being pushed into internet sales for people like Bezos and fucking Zuckerberg and everybody else. I mean, people don't realise Zuckerberg is into the pharmaceutical business. People don't realise it.
Is he?
Moderna is 90% owned by Flagship Pioneering, which you've never heard of. I have, because I took a month out on a fucking Wall Street website when this shit kicked off, and I found out who owned everything. And that's when I knew we were fucked. Because most of the food supply is owned by the same top companies, financial institutions. Most of the media, literally all of it, is owned by a handful of people. And most of the big pharma they're all into the same businesses, and all the same businesses are into everything together. Mark Zuckerberg has the Chan Zuckerberg Biohub. Flagship Pioneering, on their website, they list him down as one of their fellows.
Okay.
Flagship Pioneering own 90% of Moderna when I checked. So Mark Zuckerberg is up to his fucking eyeballs in the pharmaceutical business. Why do you think Facebook, Google and YouTube are censoring everybody that talks about the vax? Or puts the vax in a bad light? Because he's vested interests in it. He has vested interests in it, and he has right from day one. He has the same thing like Gates, only he doesn't publicise it. But if you look for it, you will find it. And if you don't look for it, then you can walk through fucking life with your head up your ass, and you will accept everything that's given to you. But you have to know this information. I am not a crazy person. I have found this information, and if you want it, go and find it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know what I know. 100% this is bullshit. I know people have been sick with the COVID. My dad died of fucking cancer. So what? He was 64 years old. 1 in 2 people contract cancer now. 1 in 2 people. And we haven't shut down the planet to find out why.
Because I think you cannot get cancer from person to person.
Well, why are we getting it? It doesn't matter whether you can get cancer from person to person.
We're getting it because of the corporates, I think. Because of the shit they put in the everyday food, I think.
Everyday foods? What if
so.
What if it's what they're giving you in the hospitals? What if it's what they inject you with when you were a kid? I read something last week. I was looking at documents about the original polio vaccination in the 1950s. Between 1957 and 1963, if you took the polio vaccine, which they used to give her on a sugar lump or a spoon, they had a live virus inside it and it gave you cancer, and they knew that because they tested it on animals. The animals got cancer the minute they gave them it. They got soft tissue cancer. But they'd made so much of this stuff, they gave it to all the Americans and the Europeans and the British anyway. And then they classified all the documents in 1959. And they only released them in 1999. So the original polio vaccine, the long-term effects of it are cancerous. It was a carcinogenic substance they put in people's bodies. And if you look at the stats for breast cancer and everything, it exploded in the 1980s, 30 years after they gave them this original polio vaccine. Now, if you want to look that up, you can. I'm not saying that's what's caused a lot of it, but my father died of soft tissue cancer because he got bone marrow cancer when he was in his 50s, and he probably had it for a long time. And I haven't even checked if he had the polio vaccine, but I remember being told about it when I was a kid, and I think most of my relatives probably had it. My brother-in-law's mum died of it. My auntie had breast cancer. My uncle died of bowel cancer. My other uncles had Crohn's disease. So who knows where it comes from? I think people do know where it comes from. They're just not telling us. It's the same like this experimental gene therapy they're giving us at the moment, why all our businesses are closed, because they want to sell as much of it as they can before they let us open. But we don't know what it's going to do to us, but I can tell you one thing, I'm 100% sure they fucking know what it's going to do to us. And if you want to run out and get an experimental gene therapy without any trials, then fine, go and do it. But don't expect me to take it. I'll keep my business closed, thank you. No.
Yeah. That's a point. I mean, that is a point.
It's like, we're talking about corruption, but let's look at what they're doing now. They're paying out furlough in England, which is furlough payments. It's basically socialist. It's socialism. They're giving us money to stay closed. It's like the COVID support here. I mean, what people don't realise is that, you know, we're educated to be fucking stupid because they're giving us our money and then the banks are going to lend them back the fucking money, and then we're going to pay the interest on the money that they're giving us to stay closed in taxation. So they're giving us our money and people going, oh, great, we can stay closed, we're making some money, great. Or we can stay at home, you know, we're getting some money. But where do you think the money's going to come from to pay that money back? It's a tax scam. They're just going to tax us. I've already talked about putting the fucking tax up in England, council tax and everything else. So you're taking money from the government and then you're going to pay it back to the fucking banks with interest.
What I've been reading is that bar owners have no other fucking choice than raising the prices for beer, for everything else when you're going to open.
Well, I mean, we have a choice.
You need to balance.
Well, if they're going to tax us some more, I mean, look how much money.
Right.
If we made if we had a turnover of £1 million a month when we closed, we've lost 14 million crowns not in profit, but in turnover since they closed us.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't given us 14 million crowns in fucking COVID support. You know, and they won't.
And they won't.
But they'll take the COVID support back when we switch that EET system on, which is the tax system. You know, they'll take that back. And we'll go back to what we talked about before. The minute they digitise currency and we're all on contactless cards, you know, smart apps and everything else, we're fucked. Because there is no tax evasion. And they can tax you whatever they want. If they decide to put the tax rate up to 35% on beer or 40% on beer, what are you going to do about it?
You are not going to do anything. You cannot do anything about it, true.
And if you don't, and going into another situation, which is what I used to explain to Swedish people when I was there, because Swedish is more or less 90% cash-free anyway. And Swedish people don't see the danger because since the 1930s they've been a socialist state and they've never had an uprising or they've never had a problem in war, because in the war they were neutral. If you remember, they sold the Nazi steel and everything, so they were neutral in the war. Norway was under occupation. Finland was under occupation from the Russians, I think, or whatever it was. But Sweden was neutral. So Sweden has never experienced that kind of desperate situation, if you like. Neither have I, necessarily. But I said to him, yeah, but what happens if you don't agree with your government one day and you want to go to a protest and they just stop your bank card at the city limit? What do you do then? That's why you need cash. You need a way to pay which is not connected to the fucking state. Because the state is by its very nature a monster. If I said to you, I've got this bloke I know, he'll take care of your life for you, don't worry about your bank, he's going to take your tax off you and everything, and you just, you know, don't worry about it, he's going to take care of it. How long do you think it'd be before he was doing what was right for him and not right for you? Why do people trust governments to do what's right for us? I don't understand it. You wouldn't trust anybody else with your life. Why do you trust governments to do the right thing for the people and not do the right thing for themselves?
I think because theoretically, if they wouldn't be corrupt, they should represent the people that voted them.
Yeah,
But it
that's
never
not how it
happens
works.
in a way,
It's not how
in
it
many
works.
ways. Yeah. This is how it should work.
Of course it is.
I'm not saying it works, no.
That's why you need to take the money out of politics. You can't have a politician who has £600,000 worth of shares in GlaxoSmithKline like Patrick Vallance does. And then when all of a sudden all the world needs a vaccine, what do you think he's going to do if he's got £600,000 worth of shares in a vaccine manufacturer?
These things are all around. I mean,
It's everywhere. That's why it is global. People go, well, how is it global? Well, it is global because the fuckers have been planning it for decades. They've tried it 4 times or something. We've had AIDS, swine flu, bird flu, H1N1. Now we've got Corona, COVID. And I've also been on John Hopkins' website. If you go on the John Hopkins University website, SPARS is planned for 2025. It's all written out. It's all planned out. A scenario just like the scenarios for the past diseases and Event Agenda 21 and Event 201 or whatever it was. You can go and read about it if you want. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Go and fucking look it up. It's part time people started looking up. you know, what I see life like this. Politicians and corporations put a sheet of glass in front of us. And we look at the glass. And they project onto that glass what they want us to see. We have to look through the glass. What are they really doing? What do they really want you to... What don't they want you to see? What are they trying to bullshit you with? What are they trying to bullshit you with? We have to wake the fuck up and start taking control of our own lives. I saw one guy on Facebook, he was like, well, we need to let the politicians do the job. I said, listen, I sent him a message. I never get a message back from these people. You never get a message back from them. I said, why don't you start to think for yourself and not expect somebody else to make your life decisions for you? That's not the politician's job. It's your fucking job. It's my job. It's our job. We've given that responsibility to other people, and now we are in the shit. The responsibility for where we are at now with COVID and the political corruption and everything else is ultimately ours. It's like you get the government you deserve. I can't remember who quoted that. You know, we are in a dangerous situation now. Aristotle, famous quote from Aristotle, democracy will in the end lead you to tyranny. And then Karl Marx, I believe, partly plagiarized Aristotle when he said, democracy, don't worry, democracy will in the end lead us back to communism. And it will, because the people in power are never satisfied until they've got everything. And unless you've got any questions, I'd like to kind of end it with that.
I have only one question, which I always ask at the end. If you could snap your fingers and change something about the world today, what would it be?
It would be... Wow. I think I would like to see all humans, all people, given the correct education and given the ability to think for themselves and make their own future. Because I think we've lost that. It's been taken from us, but we've given it away. And I would like to see that. Actual education about our own psychology, about the way people think. I would like to see people educated on spirituality and how to be righteous, because not many people I know are righteous, including me. And I think that's one of the big reasons that we're in this mess. We've lost sight of spirituality. We've also lost any real education which is about humanity and how to be successful and how to give to others, because we are in the greediest, most deceitful times I've ever seen in my life. And I can't imagine where we go from here if we don't make some serious changes and people don't understand what's going on and change themselves. That's what I would like to see.
Thank you everybody for watching. This has been episode 9 of 19 to the dozen. Today was 20... What date is today? 25th of May when we're shooting this. So I guess we're gonna see what happens next.